Many of my American viewers may be unaware that in Canada, we do Thanksgiving in October. Spooky turkey season, I guess you can call it. Last year, I did Thanksgiving of Horror for my Simpsons Thanksgiving episode, but this year, I will be doing a non-horror themed Thanksgiving episode. It's another Season 2 episode, oddly enough, and it's Bart versus Thanksgiving. For more of my opinions on Season 2, check out my Dance and Homer review, but in short, Season 2 is about as different from the rest of the series as Season 1 is from the rest of the series and Season 2. It felt more like a primetime sitcom than a cartoon. There are exceptions to this, but for the most part, Season 2 was very grounded. Bart vs. Thanksgiving is the third holiday-themed episode The Simpsons did after Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire and Trios of Horror, and if you haven't guessed, this is already themed around Thanksgiving. This episode really captures the essence of that Thanksgiving dinner. Well, I guess I wouldn't really know because my Thanksgivings were atypical, as I had divorced parents and no extended family that lived close to where I live. Most of my Thanksgiving dinners was just my mom reluctantly cooking turkey at my dad's while my dad got drunk and called her a whore, and then somebody would throw up. Usually my dad, even if he wasn't drinking. It's a very cozy episode. A lot of just everyday Thanksgiving things happen. Not to parrot another YouTuber, but it is a very chill episode, depicting such events as cooking, going from room to room, picking up family, and seeing relatives you haven't seen in a while.
You never do anything right.
We get some early Lisa here, where she's still depicted as smart, but still acts like a child. Bart is his usual self, and of course, what's an episode that goes to the retirement castle without a depressing moment?
The following people have relatives who wish they could be here today. Antonoski, Conroy, Falcone, Martin, Thorson, and Walsh. Oh, and Mrs. Spencer. You too.
Oh, I knew they wouldn't forget me.
Patty and Selma are assholes as usual, bringing their own food because of Marge's dry turkey. And I think because of this episode, I purposely gaslit my mom into thinking that her turkey was always dry, and this likely imposed a long-lasting fear of the turkey coming out dry, and instilled a compulsive basting habit in her from young adulthood. Sorry, Mom. The big moment of this episode is when Lisa unveils her centerpiece, and Bart, being a little shit, throws it in the fire. Again, I'm an only child, so I've never personally had a sibling moment like this in front of family, but I know it happens. Bart gets punished, and rightfully so, and is sent to bed without dinner. From here, Bart decides to run away, taking Santa's little helper along with him, who was also kicked out of dinner. I love the rare event that Bart gets an actual boy and his dog story. I wish we got some more of them throughout the years. Through Bart's adventurous travels, he ends up at Mr. Burns' place, where he attempts to steal a pie, only to be chased by the hounds. He goes to a blood donation center where he faints, and then finally, after some homeless gentlemen help him after fainting, he ends up at a soup kitchen in the bad part of town, where he finally gets his turkey dinner. I do like that, despite being mad at him, Homer and Marge and the family do worry about Bart when he runs away, and they call the police and everything.
Hello, operator, give me the number for 911.
And I like how Bart just mocks them on TV. I never really took in the whole thing with Brockman at the shelter, where it's like he's doing a news story, so he's trying to like show the fucking bums on Thanksgiving and make them all sympathetic, but like he's kind of exploiting them, like he's kind of a piece of shit. There's an aspect of Brockman like they kind of touch on through the series, but they've never really fully executed it, and it's like, yeah, the media does really love to exploit the poor for views.
Oh, we have lots of names for these people. Bums, deadbeats, losers, scums of the earth. We'd like to sweep these people into the gutter, or if they're already in the gutter, to some other out-of-the-way place.
Eventually, Bart does leave the soup kitchen, realizing that there are some people who have it far worse than him, and he gives his money to the bums that helped him when he fainted. For some reason in my head, I always pictured these two bums were the bums under the bridge from Homer and Apu, the ones that do the
"Who needs money when we got feds?"
bit, but no, it wasn't. It's weird. It should have been. Right here is the moment that I remember the most from this episode. Bart returns home, and in his ADHD delinquent mind, he envisions what he thinks it's going to be like in a classic scene. He pictures himself apologizing, and then the family just turns on him completely. We get this nightmarish sequence where they just start blaming him for everything. It's great. I absolutely love this scene.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bart's not content with that conclusion, so he gets up on the roof and starts fucking around. But from here, he hears Lisa getting upset and the two have a heart-to-heart. One aspect of The Simpsons that I love is that Bart and Lisa never really hate each other. They have moments where they fight and get mad at each other and try to go over one another, but you can tell they actually do get along as siblings. Bart actually gets a bit of introspection in this episode when he puts himself in the shoes of Lisa during the centerpiece incident. I have this theory that Bart isn't dumb or even really bad, but that he has some sort of issue or disorder, which they later explore in a season 10 or 11 episode. I'm guessing it's an ADHD thing where he's just so hyperactive and his brain is just going at such a pace that he often forgets that his actions have consequences on both himself and others. I have another video relating to the mentality and intelligence of Bart Simpson in the works. It's going to be much later because I have a huge roadmap to get through, but when he actually does take the time to think, he realizes that what he has done is wrong and does feel remorse for it. And the episode ends with the whole family coming together and finally having their family Thanksgiving dinner, eating turkey sandwiches at night. It's a nice, wholesome season 2 ending. This episode is one of the true standouts of the second season. It gives a good depiction of a common holiday, and we get a good sibling tiff story out of it. And it really does give us a good introspection into the mind of Bart Simpson. It has its share of relatively funny moments too, but at its core, unlike Dan and Homer, it's a primetime sitcom feel done right. It makes you feel for Lisa, it makes you feel for Bart, and despite Bart being the villain protagonist of the episode, you still do kind of feel what he's going through. And honestly, the older I get, the more I appreciate the singular plot structure episodes like this one. If I was to rate this episode out of 10, I would easily give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Above average, but not an all-time great. I'm gonna have to actually come up with like a chart for what each rating means in the future, but it is what it is. Spooky Turkey season is still going strong, so stay tuned everyone, and don't forget to gaslight your mom into basting the turkey obsessively by breaking down her spirit and telling her that the turkey is dry. Happy Thanksgiving!
Hey, Bart, stop it! Move it or lose it, Toots. Mom! Now, just a minute. I'm sure there's room for both. Bart, you're wrecking it! Let's go! I worked forever on this!
Hey, that got her going.
Bitches!